Closing talk today is from Amid Moradganjeh, and I realized I have known Amid for a couple of years, and I have never had to say his last name before, and so this is the first time. Maybe the last as well, because everybody just calls him Amid. So Amid is actually a very well-known designer and actor, I guess, in the Estonian design scene, so he's primarily interested in exploring ways to apply design to a broader range of disciplines. Previously at IDEO and Google, Amid is currently a design lead at Velvet and leading professor of the newly established Interaction Design MA program at the Estonian Academy of Arts. Yes, let's welcome Amid again.
Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Amid. Today, I'm here to inspire you. What is going to happen in 2031? The first question is, why 2031? It's actually a random number that I just came up with because I had to send that to Marili as a topic for my speech. But what is going to happen in 2031? Well, nobody really knows. So who am I to tell you what is going to happen in 2031? The reality is that I don't even know it myself. But I want you to start thinking about the future. This is my goal today. I usually don't talk about what I've been doing before, but I have had the opportunity to help some of the corporations think about their future. Before I decided that I wanted to be a free human and not work for corporations. I have also been asked to help develop a new interaction design program here in Estonia. So that made me think about the future, and I'm still thinking about it. This program is very unique because we are creating the future. Please go and check out what we are doing. You would be inspired. So, do we need to predict the future? Actually, we don't need to predict the future because we can create the future that we want. I'm also part of a very ambitious team that wants to create the future. This would be out in 2 weeks, and you would hear the news about them. I'm going to talk about them more than that. But when we look at the future, we need to consider two different things. One is the technology, and the other one is the human behavior. There was a time that having a mobile phone and talking on the street while you're walking was a really weird thing, right? Today, it is pretty much accepted. So we need to accept that we don't know much about humans and how their behaviors are going to change. We know about technology, which has been an assistant for us. But in the recent years, technology has become much more intelligent. So moving from being an assistant to humans, technology has become our companion. And we know that the future is going to be an intelligent future. So, machines are getting smarter and smarter. They are becoming more intelligent. No one knows what is going to happen, if they're going to be more intelligent than humans or not. But they have helped us become more intelligent too. When we think of the future, we are pretty much influenced by Hollywood. I have worked with some of the Hollywood companies, and I know that the only thing they care about is money. So I don't want to be influenced by the way that they think about the future, because they kept telling us that the robots are going to walk around, everything is going to be done by robots, but this didn't happen. We know that we have Internet of Things, and we know that our objects are becoming smarter, but we don't need those ugly robots moving around and helping us. They also kept telling us that everything would be like, I don't know, in this virtual reality or augmented reality. We know that VR and AR have some really good applications, let's say for manufacturing, in medical field, and some other specific applications. But we are not going to live in the future that everything is augmented and you walk on a street and things pop out in front of your eyes. What we know is that technology is going to be more humanized because we are in control of technology. Technology is going to be less visible and more integrated because we know that the future is going to be much, much better than what it is today. I'm very positive about the future. Going back to the two things that we need to consider when it comes to the future, we know that technology is becoming more and more emotional. Today, in inspiring speeches that you listen to, we heard that already, that this shift is happening. And we know that the ideal way of interaction between human and technology is the way that we interact with each other as humans. And we are moving towards that. But then, if you want to think about the future of design and what designers will do, we need to ask these questions. Who are our designers today? Well, the reality is that most of the people who get the chance to design our experiences are assigned those tasks because they know how to use certain tools. It has become more about skills. And there's a demand for them. And why do you think we need so many designers? Because the technology that we are using today is very primitive. It is very basic. There would be a time that people are going to laugh at us when they see that we were carrying this thing called phone that runs out of battery in a day, and you had to actually interact with it with your finger. That would be a joke for the future. This is Taxify. It takes probably 2 designers to work on it for, 3 months, and then it takes a year or 2 to make it work really well. But I'm going to show you what is going to happen in the future. And this is the iOS of the future. And I'm not kidding about it. This has been a vision within a team that I was working maybe 5 years ago. We were thinking about that already. So what is happening today is that a lot of what we need to do or deal with as designers is the manual work that we need to do. But the reality is that the future, machines are going to take care of those manual work. And that's why we need all these designers today to work on those manual parts and make it somehow that humans can interact with it. But the future, I can go back if you're taking photos. I can smile too. Do it together, please. But the future is going to create an opportunity for designers to think about emotions, to use their empathy, and that would be the role of designers. I hope you will invite me next year here at this, or I can buy the tickets. What really matters is empathy. So in the future, as a designer, you really need to have those skills. The good news is that we all have empathy. It is not anything special. It's part of human nature. We just need to work on it and develop it. So this is what I used to do 2 years ago. A few months ago, I started working on a to-do list app, a very basic thing, which has been developed, which is coming out. It's a side project. I spend most of my time writing things, thinking about the stories. I became a copywriter, not a designer anymore. But in fact, I'm a designer. So what does that mean? It means that anyone can do that, right? When design becomes less about the skills and more about empathy, so anyone can do it. It is not something that only designers would do. You guys would be out of job, by the way. I was at Ixd.ma yesterday, and I put this to test. There were a great group of people. They were not designers. I asked them to work in teams, and I gave them a task that one of them could work as an AI, because AI is a term that everyone knows and it's better to use it. And then I told them that this AI or the team member can actually have superpowers. And then it has a personality too. Then I asked them to think about its capabilities, intelligence level, personality, and the limitations that this character has. And then I asked them to act out experiences, and I was amazed by the ideas they came up with. They were also amazed by the things that they could do and thinking about the future. They were ordinary people. Of course, they're techie, but they were so comfortable with coming up with ideas that I could actually say that creativity is becoming much more accessible. Because tools, skills are not going to stop you from expressing your creativity. We are somewhere here. I don't know exactly where. That's why I put those lines here. This is a transition period to an intelligent future. And designers' roles are being defined as developing a language to communicate with this intelligence. Every time you take photo, I have to pause, which is good. Then I can think. Okay, but the question is, who is going to do this intelligent thing, AI thing? Of course, a bunch of techie nerd people who work at Google or big companies who get paid probably lots of money and they don't even have that empathy with other people. Not really. Actually, there's a startup here right in Estonia. I'm part of this startup, and we want to take over. And we want to create that artificial intelligent version of you. What does that mean? It means that Janus will have an AI that he can talk to. And even I can talk to his AI. I don't even have to talk to his AI. And let's say some of the people that have lots of fans, they can actually talk to their fans. So imagine a celebrity or a famous person, an inspiring person you can actually reach to that person and talk to her. Well, just a quick note, when we think of these humanized interactions, of course, voice comes in because this is an easier way to communicate. There is also body language, different ways of expressions, and also touching and feeling. And also there's something about thinking, because machines are going to be able to think about you when you're not even interacting with them. But we are dismissing something here, and that is text. Text is a big thing. And we think that text is not a natural way to communicate with humans. We are actually wrong, because text has been always one of the main ways for humans to communicate with each other. The way we used to write letters, before that we used to put our thoughts maybe even you can see it from thousands of years ago that people used text. And this is becoming much more powerful today. Back to 2031. Let's see how I would design an experience in 2031. Our program is going to be your designer. Interaction Design MA program at the Estonian Academy of Art has a point of view about design, and it's going to help you. So we have the briefing here. So the briefing is done almost. Now let's go to production. Oh, of course I didn't have time to design that. That takes probably some time today. So let's say there's a design. Either it is visual, it is voice interaction, text and environment, whatever, I don't know. So it's going to take time for this machine. Everything is done. Maybe we should actually put this in the hands of real humans. Yeah, let's do it. And that one, of course, takes time because humans are slow and dumb. Okay, everything is done. I get to push that button. I don't have to push it, but it's cool if you push something. So, future would be more and more about the characters, the personalities. As designers, we are going to be focused on the personalities of intelligent agents that we are creating. Well, this might happen. It's 2031, you cannot say no, so I can just show you anything, right? But let's look at Pipedrive. What is going to happen to Pipedrive? Well, I want to just sell a bunch of things related to gardening. So I like a person like Anton who actually exists, and I can find his AI on the AI store to do it for me. What is going to happen to Pipedrive? I don't know. Perfect, yeah. So I'm sure that they're going to decide to move towards what is happening, because things are not going to happen overnight. It's going to take years. So if today, as designers, we need to do research, do this ideation, prototyping, I don't even know, I have to read it myself, testing, implementation, in the future, we basically need to give birth to an intelligent something and then train it, let it develop, become better. And then we just need to check on it in case it would screw up something, it might happen. And this is not going to be just a linear task, of course. It would be as if you are basically training a puppy. So the future of designers would be training puppies.
So I am sure there are lots of questions. I get to ask the first one again. So that thing where you had these my and Amid's AIs talking to each other, the most scary thing to me was that is real. Like, that is not 2031. So a week ago, Google showed a video where a bot calls a business and has a conversation, and the business doesn't even realize they're talking to a bot. So who has seen that video? Yes. But if you haven't, check it out. It's very inspiring and very scary. So I am terrified in that situation, actually, because I, as a human, then I don't know what's real anymore. I don't know if I'm talking to Amid's AI or actually Amid, or where did all that come from. So the question is, how do you calm me down in that situation? You said you are optimistic for the future.
We're going to be comfortable with it. You were not comfortable taking selfies. It would have been ridiculous if 10 years ago you were posting your selfies on something like Instagram and everyone could have looked at it. Today you are comfortable with it. So it would be okay. I don't care if you're an AI or a real human. I think it works. We're going to change. That's what I think. And I might be totally wrong.
Okay. More questions?
Don't you think that the format of text is even not needed? Like everything would happen in our brain.
It would
Because
happen
the
in our
human
brain.
language as such is really inconvenient
Yeah.
way of communication. Writing takes a lot of time, talking takes a lot of time. You spend like
Exactly.
18 minutes on the stage to just communicate one idea.
This is a really good point. My next speech would be about 2046 then. Then I didn't, but that's a really good point. I really think that this would happen, that we are going to be able to think about things and make them happen. But let's say it's going to be a gradual change. I think the language that we are using is going to change. So the way I communicate with you today, in 20 years would be very different. Let's say it doesn't matter if it is English, the structure that I use for communication is going to change because we are going to be so influenced by technology that there might be a common level of language between real humans and technology, and then gradually that would transform into like thinking. So that is what I think, but you're totally right. We might just start to think about things and make things happen. Thanks for the question.
Next up.
Are you scared?
Or inspired, terribly inspired. Thinking about the next startup idea, maybe.
There's a question.
Back there, there's questions.
Hello, name is Slava from CGI. I have like a very general question. How to persuade a company to pay me money for thinking the whole day, and maybe that thinking is actually wrong in the future?
Convincing people to pay you is another thing. I think you do not want to think for a company. You want to make them think. And they decide what they want to do next. And you might be being paid for that because you're thinking together. If you screw up, you're all together in it. But if you just go there and say, I want to think for you, if you don't do the right thinking, then they're not going to pay you anymore.
Nice, thanks.
Hello, my name is Timur and I'm a developer from Playtech. And my question is quite similar to the first one. There is a term as an uncanny valley. And do you think that in terms of artificial intelligence and the text becoming more personalized and human-like, there will be a state when we will reach this uncanny valley and people will be creeped out because this intelligence is quite similar to human, but not quite?
You know, this intelligence is not going to be perfect. Even humans are not perfect. I just made a mistake when I was putting together a sentence, and I'm a human. So we cannot expect that the machines are going to be perfect too. So one of the tasks of designers is to create imperfection for machines. So stop them from sounding and acting perfect. That is what makes a machine a human, right? Because we make mistakes and we are not perfect. And we cannot let machines to be perfect. That would be creepy if a machine is super perfect. So we have to make them a little bit not so perfect.
More questions about the future? Well, I have a question then about
Sure.
how far ahead did you then design the Ixd program and all these programs? So are all these people coming out of this program going to be capable of doing this? Or you keep yourself job security, go back in 5 years and redesign the program a bit more towards that?
Of course, people have to make money and live. I'm not doing this all the time. I have to design an interface because I have to have money too. But having a vision helps you make those small changes, right? Like Stefan today talked about emotional design. And he's actually helping our program, helping us think about emotional design, because we know that intelligent machines are going to bring more emotions into our experiences. And that might be just, using a different copy or animation today, emotion, or something that is very little and is possible to make it happen today. But having a vision about the future helps you make the right decisions today, even though those decisions are small and are actually feasible today. Therefore, in our program, we always want to ask big questions. We always want to think bigger. But we know that in reality, we need to respond to today's needs. But because it is an environment, like a school environment, where doing things and making mistakes is allowed, we still want to have a kind of a balance between practical thinking and experimental approach to design and having a vision about the future.
More audience chance. If not, well, I have more. I could talk about this all day. It's fun stuff. So one other thing I'm curious about is, what chance does a little guy have? Because what we see right now is, and I have no expectation that it will change, is all this consolidation. Like this is a theory, and the practice of this theory is happening in all the Googles and Facebooks, all the worlds. Yep. So they have all the infinite resource, basically, to take in the best people and build all this for us, and then we'll all be milked, basically.
That is something that is happening. So, of course, Google, Apple, and some of the big companies in the US are going to be the pioneers. But let's say this Estonian startup has the ambitions. And one good thing that they have is that, let's say, in order to make this happen, this is more technical. You really have to have information about a person, online information from different sources. So you have to know about that person on Facebook, Google, Fitbits, Amazon, and you need to actually, of course, let those people share that information with you. But imagine, Google cannot go and ask you to share your Facebook information with them. That's just weird. If you go to Google and says, hey, log in with your Facebook and give us all your information so we can analyze it and create an AI for you. So being a third party or a small team that has the privilege to access to all the bigger, the information that bigger companies have, that is actually something that makes us hope that we might become successful.
Cool. Last call. If no more questions, then let's thank Amid and Brett and really all the speakers.